The film begins in a special prison for criminals in America. The prisoners there have superpowers, and the government uses them in special operations that require superpowers to ensure their success, in exchange for a reduction in their prison term. We see a woman that is in charge of a suicide squad named Amanda, and Amanda takes prisoner called Savant to the prison to prepare him for the next operation. Amanda plants a mini-bomb in Savant's head, so that if he doesn't follow orders, it will blow his brains out. Amanda then introduces Savant to Colonel Rick Flag, the leader of the Suicide Squad. Rick takes him in and introduces him to the rest of the team, which consists of Captain Boomerang, Blackguard, Annengal, Gavling, Didger, Weasel, and the crazy Harley Quinn. Each of them has different superpowers, and together they form a solid team that can take on the world. Then they all get on a plane together to fly to wherever the mission is. Amanda made a good deal with the team, that if they succeeded in their mission, their prison term would be reduced by 10 years, so they all agreed to the operation with great love to get out of prison sooner. But at the same time, Amanda made another not-so-nice condition, that if any of the squad thought about quitting or not completing the mission, they would blow their heads off with the bomb they had planted in their heads, and the control device to detonate the bomb was with Amanda. They all got on the plane. But the Blackguard was worried about the Weasel after the rest of the team scared him off and told him that he was a werewolf. And of course, the idea was from Harley Quinn. They then arrived at the mission place and dropped them all into the ocean from the plane. The Weasel can't swim, and Savant tries to save him, but Weasel ends up dying. The Blackguard then betrays his squad and makes a deal with the forces they were supposed to attack. In return, they will get him out of prison and take him with them. But when he shows up, they kill him and blow his head off with their weapons. Didger then tries to engage with the rest of the forces and detach his arm from his body with his superpower to control their weapons, but they manage to kill him in the end after some action. After that, the entire team fights with the forces, and the forces throw bombs and firearms at them from everywhere, and all the team dies except for Harley Quinn and Rick Flag, who are captured by the forces. Amanda warns Savant to go back and fight the enemy or she will kill him and detonate the bomb in his brain, but Savant is determined to get back to the ship, and when he tries to escape into the ocean, Amanda detonates the bomb in his brain, and he dies. Is Amanda going to be upset that the mission failed? No, because Amanda was so sure of herself that she sent another team because she knew the first team was going to fail, so we could say it was a scapegoat. Then we see a flashback to a few days before the mission when Amanda was preparing the next team. In the same prison, we see a man named Bloodsport, whose superpower was that he could turn any substance or object in his hand into a lethal weapon. And the reason he was in prison because he was the reason Superman was hospitalized when he was hit by a kryptonite bullet. Bloodsport has a little girl named Ninja, but his daughter was arrested for stealing a watch, and he was always fighting with her. Amanda goes and tries to convince him to join the Suicide Squad, but he doesn't agree. Amanda convinces him when she tells him that she will release his daughter from prison and he will be the team leader in exchange for joining the team. He sees it as an opportunity and agrees to her offer. Then we see Peacemaker being recruited by Amanda, and his superpower is that he's the Brosley and Jackie Chan of nowadays, as well as one of the strongest with most loved attitude in the WWE, John Cena, of course. Amanda then brings in Ratcatcher, who is the best at controlling the rats and making them do what she says, as if she was raised in a sewer. In that moment, we find out that Bloodsport, despite his great strength, has a phobia of mice and is very afraid of them. In the film, we will watch some funny scenes with him because of the rats. After that, the team is joined by another one called Polka Dot Man, and yes, this is his name, not an account password. His power is that he can throw polka dots, which are energy dots that help them in battles and destroy the enemy quickly. Then they come across a giant king shark that was chilling and reading a book upside down. Amanda then takes them into a room and explains all the details of their mission. Amanda told them, "Your mission is in a place called Courtois Maltese, and the country was ruled by General Silvio Luna with his assistant and right-hand Suarez. No, not Luis Suarez." Amanda said, "Luna and Suarez ruled the country with extreme violence and force, plus they didn't like any Americans and considered Americans to be their enemies. They have a point though, to be honest." Then Amanda said, "The team's mission is to destroy anything in the country that has anything to do with the Starfish Project, which is housed at the Jotunheim Research Laboratory, and the person in charge of the laboratory is a man named Dr. Reeves. Dr. Reeves is alcoholic, and you will always find him in a bar in Jotunheim." After that, the team got ready and set off for Courtois Maltais, and Bloodsport decided to camp out in the forest until morning. They camped in the forest until morning. As they slept, Bloodsport sensed that something wasn't quite right, and as he looked around, he saw a strange, bright light in the middle of the forest. When Bloodsport gets up, he finds Polka Dot Man, who is discharging his energy so that he can live and not die from the amount of energy he has charged. Bloodsport knew from the start that he was dealing with idiots, and he misses the days of Superman and Batman when he still had some prestige among them. When Bloodsport goes back to sleep, he sees a mouse warning him that the Shark King is going to eat Ratcatcher because his stomach is growling and he can't stand the hunger. Bloodsport shot him with fire to drive him away and saved Ratcatcher, who was shocked when she realized she was going to die at the hands of the Shark King. She then brought in more rats to take revenge on the Shark King, but the whole team woke up and Bloodsport told them, "What are you doing, crazy kids? Do you think we are going to Disney? We have a mission, and we have to complete it, or we're all going to die." Then Amanda spoke up and said, "Rick Flag has been captured by the enemy, and I'm giving you his location so you can rescue him before you go to the city." The next morning, Bloodsport and the rest of the team went to the village where Rick Flag was to rescue him, killing a large number of enemies. The king shark finally saw a prize and started eating people like crazy. The mice were biting the rest, and Peacemaker was having fun killing people and thinking she was in a wrestling ring. They entered the tent where Flag was staying, but were shocked to see that Rick Flag was sitting with the leader of the freedom fighters who opposed Luna's rule, whose name was Saul. Bloodsport and his squad felt stupid for killing people who had nothing to do with it and were against Luna. And then Saul came out and cursed them for killing her band. But a couple of kind, sweet words from Rick made her forget about her band, her resistance, and everything else she was convinced of. She then decided to join the Suicide Squad to complete their mission. She then helps the Suicide Squad finding Reeves, who is in charge of the Starfish Project. Then we see Reeves sitting with the generals and explaining the Starfish Project to them. Reeves tells them, "The alien starfish was brought by a group of astronauts from space, and it can release a large number of alien starfish, control the consciousness and mind of humans, and feed on corpses to grow bigger and more powerful." The generals then let him go on with his research, and the most important thing for them is that they have more power than America, so that they can control and dominate America. Then Suarez thought and said to him, "I want you to launch this space starfish monster on America, so that we can get rid of them." But Luna said, "No, my love. I have another plan that will make us masters of the world." Meanwhile, Harley Quinn was in a big hole after being arrested, but because Luna had asked for her presence, his assistants cleaned her up and dressed her in a seductive red dress so she could go meet Luna. When she arrives at Luna's, he falls in love with her and asks her to marry him after knowing about her extensive criminal history, which he has never seen before. Harley Quinn was able to play along and trick him, so she can get out of the place. Luna then spent the day with her, eating, drinking, and playing. Then Luna said, "I have a plan against America. I'm going to let my alien starfish eat all of America's children, and I'm going to terrorize America into submission." Harley Quinn was able to take advantage of him, grab the gun, and shoot him in the center of his heart. Then they arrested Harley Quinn and locked her up. After that, General Suarez was chosen to take over the country from Luna. The Suicide Squad goes to the city, and there's a polka dot man with glowing swellings, and they ask him, "What's happening?" But he's adamant that everything is okay. They hold him down to find out what's wrong with him. That's when Belka Dot Man said, "My mother used to work at the Jotunheim laboratory, and at the time she was working on the starfish and was experimenting on her children to make them superheroes. But they all died and I was the only one who lived. And since then I got my powers after I got a virus. And since then, I need to expel those points from my body twice a day. And if I don't do that, I will die. And since then, I can't stand my mother, and I see her around me everywhere." As they were on their way, Ratcatcher asked Bloodsport, "Why are you so afraid of mice, Van Damme?" He said, "My father used to lock me in a box full of mice, so why do you like mice so much?" Catcher remembered the old days and told him, "My father and I were living on the streets of Portugal and we were very poor, and my father invented a machine to control the rats and let them rob banks for him. And the rats in the cold covered us and were our whole life. But my father died and I came to America. At that time, they were all friends and decided to defend each other throughout the mission until they got out of it safely. They went to the bar where Reeves was going to be. Reeves arrives and Bloodsport kidnaps and arrests him, but then the army enters the bar and searches for any Americans and checks the IDs of the people in the bar to make sure they aren't Americans. Ratcatcher and Polka Dot Man grabbed Reeves and took him out from the back door, while the rest turned themselves into the army to ensure that Ratcatcher and Polka Dot Man could get Reeves to the Shark King, who was waiting for them in the car. After that, the three of them were able to escape from the army, destroy the car, and get out of it, and then decided to go to the city to rescue the Harley Quinn, which was kidnapped by Suarez and his men after she killed Luna. Meanwhile, Suarez was torturing Harley Quinn to find out where the Americans were and how many of them were following her, but she wouldn't answer him, which made him angry, and he kept torturing her for no reason until he left her to a guard there to torture her, until she tricked them by pretending that she has fainted. She then took advantage of the opportunity and strangled the guard with her leg, then took his weapon and killed all the people who were holding her until she escaped. When the suicide team went in to rescue her, she surprised them and walked out, and they all wondered how she managed to save herself. After that, They went to Reeves, tell them about the lab location where the alien starfish. They took him there and used his fingerprints to enter the place. Ratcatcher then had her mice unplug all the cameras and disable them. Then they successfully entered the lab to destroy it. Each one had a specific task to perform in order to make their big operation successful. Peacemaker and Shark planted bombs everywhere in the lab. At the time, Rick Flag and Ratcatcher were shocked when they saw the experiments that were being done on humans for the Starfish Project. When they entered the lab, they realized that the project was American in origin and that the experiments were pre-formed in the country of Cortoa Maltese after they made a deal with them so that their people wouldn't know anything. And when Cortoa Maltese was no longer under their control, they sent the Suicide Squad to cover up the government scandals. Flag decides to find any records in the place to expose the US government, but Peacemaker comes along and rejects Flag's idea because whatever his country has done, if he exposes it, it will get it in big international trouble, and they start arguing and fighting with each other, each one supporting his idea. Meanwhile, the rest of the team clashes with the soldiers, but Polka Dot Man accidentally blows up the place with his PowerPoints. King Shark was at a fish tank playing with the fish when the explosion went off, and the King Shark fell off the building because of the explosion, but he didn't die and barely survived. But then Flag got up and fought with Peacemaker for the hard disk drive they have found, but Peacemaker killed him. Ratcatcher catches the hard drive and runs away with it, but Maker runs after her and wants to kill her, but Bloodsport comes along and shoots him in the neck, and Peacemaker dies. By this time, the alien starfish has escaped from his place and killed Reeves and is trying to escape the building. Ratcatcher then tells Bloodsport the truth about the hard drive and that the US government is responsible for what happened to the alien starfish project. The King Shark arrives after he eats all the soldiers who were surrounding him. They all ran out of the lab in a hurry. But the giant alien starfish was on the street after destroying the entire lab and started releasing a large number of small alien starfish that took over the entire army. Then the leader of the resistance went to the new president's headquarters with her squad and took over the government, and the government was back in the hands of the people. Meanwhile, the alien starfish was controlling the army and let them attack the Suicide Squad. Amanda then ordered the team to go back because the power was no longer in Suarez's hands, and she didn't care about the rest of the people dying. But the Suicide Squad refuses to go back and decides to attack the monster until they destroy it. Amanda was about to kill the squad and blows their brains out, but one of the agents beats Amanda up for her greedy behavior, and all agents support her and the Suicide Squad. In the meantime, the squad attacked the alien starfish, and Bloodsport told Polka Dot Man that the alien starfish was his mother. So he fought him with all his might and destroyed his leg, but the alien starfish eventually killed him. He then told the King Shark that the alien starfish taste is very good. The King Shark attacked and started to eat it, but the starfish threw him away. Ratcatcher then summoned all the rats to attack the alien starfish, and Bloodsport asked Harley Quinn to destroy the alien starfish's eyes. Quinn and the rats were able to completely destroy it. Finally, Bloodsport no longer has a phobia of the rats and loves them, and he tells to Amanda about giving her the hard drive in exchange for releasing his daughter. His daughter was very proud that he was able to save the city from death. After that, the band took over the government and ran the country. Then we see the weasel who drowned in the ocean is waking up on the island and still alive and running through the forest. Then we find Peacemaker in the hospital being treated, and Amanda's team is discussing if Spacemaker is treated and alive, would Amanda use him for more evil operations, or would she use him to defend the world and help innocent people? And the film ends here with this question.